Equity has signed a memorandum of understanding with Schneider Electric to enhance households' quality of life through access to affordable energy solutions. Equity Group Managing Director and CEO Dr. James Mwangi said the pact was meant to ensure energy becomes a basic right for all to access it in a manner that can contribute to the quality of their lives.
We are celebrating what one would say furthering the development of the people of DRC, ensuring that energy becomes a basic right. As we say in the slogan, energy for all, ensuring every household access energy affordably, conveniently, and in a manner that it can contribute to enhancement of their quality of life.
Schneider Electric Vice President Gwenelle Avis Hewitt said the partnership is an enabler for the youth to access energy for innovation and relevant skills for their livelihood.
In this project, we mixed our strengths to be on the field with the team of this bank everywhere, close to the people, to contribute to innovation, to have new solutions. We have to work very differently in the future, to have new innovation and so on. It's why the transfer of skills linked to the transfer of energy in something which is very good to increase the well-being of people, to provide development, and to tackle the topic of climate change. It's why we are lucky to have together.
Additionally, Equity BCDC and Schneider will collaborate on the opening of 10 nationwide youth training centers in DRC to nurture skills related to clean energy deployment.
It's not about the energy equipment or device, but it's the empowerment of young people through the 10 training institutions to create a livelihood in a decent way, in an honorable way, in servicing the rest of the population. So that enhancement of skills provides employment to 4,000 people as we do business.
The MOU was signed in the sidelines of the Kinshasa segment of the Kenya Drc Investors Roadshow that started in Nairobi, Kenya.
Delta 400, good afternoon, confirm cooking 6011. Aircraft, run a call. 400, defense line level 110.
Global investors from Kenya, the United States, the United Kingdom, South Africa and other countries arrived in Kinshasa, the capital of the Democratic Republic of Congo, for the second leg of the Kenya and DRC Investors Roadshow that started in Nairobi. The chartered jet touched down at Njili International Airport early morning for the delegates to begin a two-day mission of meetings and tour of enterprises in and around the city. Speaking at the plenary session of the meeting in the DRC capital, IFC Managing Director Malik Fall said the DRC is a victim of an image that it shed many years ago.
Aujourd'hui, 2 ans après, nous avons multiplié par 5 les effectifs de la SFI ici au Congo. Nous doublons chaque année nos investissements dans ce pays et nous sommes encore loin du compte, tellement les opportunités sont importantes dans ce pays.
Equity BCDC Managing Director Celestine Mukabu said challenges facing DRC are opportunities for investment, particularly in energy, mining and agriculture.
The country is divided in 5 economic regions. We have the West region where we have the Kinshasa town. It's already more than 15 million inhabitants. There is a lot of trade happening, especially when you want to do manufacturing. It's something which could be considered. Still to the west, there is an agricultural potential. So the food basket of Kinshasa is just near. More in the south, there are the mineral region where there is most of the mining activities happening there. You have huge concentration of different mineral and in the DRC. We have 2 time zones. This is the west time zones, but in the east we have another time zone. It's +1. So if you want to manage operations and to start, you could start it depending on your activity in the west, or you can start in the south, or you can start closer to the east region, where there is a lot of activities as well going there.
Mukabu said Equity BCDC customer base has crossed the 2 million mark and is poised to grow even further because the country is lowly banked.
The country is not yet fully digitalized, so that is an area where somebody could explore and see it as an opportunity.
Although the DRC is known for its mining potential, the ecosystems to the sector, including food supply, housing, transport, roads and energy, remain largely untapped.
On agro-industrial sector, this is an enormous opportunity. The land is very fertile. Last time we saw some maize growing in the bridge, and you could see across the bridge there was maize. Nobody has planted it, but it was growing. So the land is so fertile, and it gives an opportunity of starting growing food. And the country used to be in the past, before the period of instability, a food basket in many aspects.
Kenyan ambassador to DRC, George Masafu, said the Kenya fraternity was proud of Equity, which he said has become the face of Kenyan enterprises in the country.
We are so proud to host the cream of the Kenyan investors coming to DRC. And this could not have been possible without the leadership of James and his team. James, we are very proud of your leadership for organizing this kind of tour to DRC. Equity Bank is now flying the flag. It is the face of Kenyan enterprise in DRC. What does it mean now for you investors who have come to DRC? Visiting DRC means you are looking for opportunities to invest. And you cannot come to a country to invest if you have no confidence in that country. It's an expression of confidence in this country and why you want to invest here.
The visitors were surprised by the opportunities in various sectors and were keen to find a niche in the country that is arguably the most sought-after investment destination. A visit by several delegates to a construction site revealed the insatiable demand for housing in the city.
Parkland is located in Kinshasa, Democratic Republic of Congo. We see a great future for Parkland and other construction companies because there's so much potential. In Kinshasa, real estate development is on the up and up, and we believe there is a lot to come in that space.
Congo is still a very virgin country in terms of opportunities. We really appreciate Equity Bank for this opportunity because we've been able to see Congo in a very different way in terms of the opportunities that are in this country, especially in the area of mining. Rather the interest that I have, the reason I'm here, there is a lot of opportunities based even for the meeting that we had. We can be able to leap a lot of opportunities in terms of mining, agriculture, and the general construction.
The kind of imports that this country has, from food, everything that you see around, even at the hotel, looks imported and not locally manufactured. So a lot of opportunities for people who are willing to invest in local manufacturing.
There's a lot of potential in this country, though there may be a bit of challenges, maybe on the infrastructure and such things, but this is a country with a lot of potential. I'm also thankful to Equity Group for having managed to arrange this roadshow, which has been a big source of information to investors and also to government technical people to just compare how the places are, and we are thankful to have participated.
The 2023 Kenya and DRC Investors Roadshow started in Nairobi to run through Kinshasa to end in Lubumbashi to the south of the country. The Democratic Republic of Congo imports 80% of all food consumed in the vast country. It is no wonder, then, that agriculture and related industries present a growing opportunity for business. Deputy Governor of Katanga, Jean-Claude Kamfwa, told delegates on the Kenya and DRC Investors Roadshow that agriculture is now a priority area for investment in alignment with other sectors such as mining.
La province du Haut-Katanga, qui vous reçoit, s'étend sur une superficie de 132 425 km² et sa population à majorité jeune est en plein accroissement. Elle est baignée par plusieurs cours d'eau importants et par le lac Mouero. En plus de ses richesses minérales variées, elle regorge de terres arables très fertiles qui se prêtent à plusieurs types de cultures.
The Deputy Governor thanked Equity for leading enterprises to DRC by example of investing in DRC and organizing for others to follow suit.
Distingués invités, mesdames et messieurs, par l'objet de sa mission, la délégation voudrait visiter divers clients et marchés en vue d'établir des relations d'affaires, des relations commerciales qui certainement contribueront au renforcement des relations entre nos deux pays, à savoir la République démocratique du Congo et le Kenya.
Equity Group Holdings chairman Professor Isaac Masharia said the mission had brought to DRC an assortment of people, including entrepreneurs and economic analysts, to open their eyes to the opportunities available.
We, as Equity Bank, have identified the opportunities that are available in this very rich province. That is why we've taken this step of coming with our investors, coming with businessmen from Kenya, and also coming with international analysts who write about our business in BCDC.
Equity Group Director of Strategy Brent Malahe illustrated the need to bridge gaps that have persisted in Africa.
As Equity Group, we appreciate in the country like the DRC, despite the abundance of natural resources in agriculture, the crop yields that the DRC produces is around 40% of the world average, whether it's maize, soy. It is well below average, and Equity Group with its partners is looking to improve that.
DRC has over 80 million hectares of arable land, but only 10% is utilized. Some of the delegates had an opportunity to witness agricultural production at Go Congo Farm, located 60 kilometers northeast of Lubumbashi. Go Congo, established only a decade ago, has over 60,000 heads of cattle and thousands of hectares and maize, soya, and wheat. The chaff and other waste from harvested crop is used as feedstock for the cattle that produces quality beef for an insatiable domestic market.
Our strategy is to grow food locally. The DRC imports around 80% of its food requirements, and we've set up this farm to substitute that consumption through locally produced food. We're at about 8,000 hectares, and we're producing about 25,000 tons of maize a year, about 2,000 tons of wheat a year, and about 1,500 tons of soya a year.
While the maize goes for milling, sifting to produce the packaged Twiga flour meal, all the wheat produced at Go Congo is used for making biscuits in the company's bakery in Lubumbashi.
Our product is called Twiga. It's a maize meal. It's in a yellow bag, which you'll see around town. We distribute it to over 2,000 shops. And we have two formats. We have a 25 kilo bag and a 2.5 kilo bag. We are banking with Equity. We're very proud customers. Equity puts their money where their mouth is. They want to promote agriculture. They're promoting us. They're growing with us. They're helping us grow. And we are very proud to be their customers and to work together with them.
Go Congo is clearing more land to plant more grain, of which it hopes to grow by irrigation on large scale. When the Kenya and DRC Investors Roadshow came to a close, the delegates expressed their satisfaction that the outing helped to open their eyes to know the country better and see opportunities to invest in, as well as establish alliances with the Congolese for a win-win partnerships.
The journey began in 2021 when Equity Group handpicked Renco Africa and a few others to venture into the DRC for investment purposes. A group of us, in fact 300 of us, made the trip that at the time was Kinshasa, Lubumbashi, Goma and Buji-Mayi. It was an out-of-this-world experience. We came back with our minds blown, especially seeing that such a large country had such untapped potential.
It's an interesting country. The type of businesses here are not just related to mining, and also the scale of Equity's operations here is quite significant, and you understand where the source of growth in the country is coming from.
So far, what Equity has done, it has introduced us to so many companies that we feel we can partner, we can work together, and make some money.
This has been an awesome roadshow. It has actually given a different view of what we had in terms of the country DRC and the opportunities in DRC. Being on the ground has shown us much more opportunity and much more potential that Siemens Energy can support on in terms of the energy generation, energy distribution and energy transmission.
This was my first time in Congo and I've been surprised all around. Equity did a fantastic job organizing a tour all around the country, and it's really changed my perception of the country. We know now there are tremendous opportunities here, and we look to exploring them in the future. Thank you so much for everybody involved in planning the trip.
Equity has signed a memorandum of understanding with Schneider Electric to enhance households' quality of life through access to affordable energy solutions. Equity Group Managing Director and CEO Dr. James Mwangi said the pact was meant to ensure energy becomes a basic right for all to access it in a manner that can contribute to the quality of their lives.
We are celebrating what one would say furthering the development of the people of DRC, ensuring that energy becomes a basic right. As we say in the slogan, energy for all. ensuring every household access energy affordably, conveniently, and in a manner that it can contribute to enhancement of their quality of life.
Schneider Electric Vice President Gwenelle Avis-Hewitt said the partnership is an enabler for the youth to access energy for innovation and relevant skills for their livelihood.
In this project, we mixed our strengths to be on the field with the team of this bank, everywhere, close to the people, to contribute to innovation, to have new solutions. We have to work very differently in the future, to have new innovation and so on. It's why the transfer of skills linked to the transfer of energy in something which is very good to increase the well-being of people, to provide development, and to tackle the topic of climate change. It's why we are lucky to have together.
Additionally, Equity BCDC and Schneider will collaborate on the opening of 10 nationwide youth training centers in DRC to nurture skills related to clean energy deployment.
It's not about the energy equipment or device, but it's the empowerment of young people through the 10 training institutions to create a livelihood in a decent way, in an honorable way, in servicing the rest of the population. So that enhancement of skills provides employment to 4,000 people as we do business.
The MOU was signed in the sidelines of the Kinshasa segment of the Kenya Drc Investors Roadshow that started in Nairobi, Kenya.
Macroeconomic 00, good afternoon, confirm cooking 6011. Hey, Pam, run a call in. 400, that's
Global investors from Kenya, the United States, the United Kingdom, South Africa and other countries arrived in Kinshasa, the capital of the Democratic Republic of Congo, for the second leg of the Kenya and DRC Investors Roadshow that started in Nairobi. The chartered jet touched down at Njili International Airport early morning for the delegates to begin a two-day mission of meetings and tour of enterprises in and around the city. Speaking at the plenary session of the meeting in the DRC capital, IFC Managing Director Malik Fall said the DRC is a victim of an image that it shed many years ago.
Aujourd'hui, 2 ans après, nous avons multiplié par 5 les effectifs de la SFI ici au Congo. Nous doublons chaque année nos investissements dans ce pays et nous sommes encore loin du compte, tellement les opportunités sont importantes dans ce pays.
Equity BCDC Managing Director Celestine Mukabu said challenges facing DRC are opportunities for investment, particularly in energy, mining and agriculture.
The country is divided in 5 economic regions. We have the west region where we have the Kinshasa town. It's already more than 15 million inhabitants. There is a lot of trade happening, especially when you want to do manufacturing. It's something which could be considered. Still to the west, there is an agriculture potential. So the food basket of Kinshasa is just near. More in the south, there are the mineral region where there is most of the mining activities happening there. You have huge concentration of different mineral and in the DRC. We have 2 time zones. This is the west time zones, but in the east we have another time zone. It's +1. So if you want to manage operations and to start, you could start it depending on your activity in the west, or you can start in the south, or you can start closer to the east region. where there is a lot of activities as well going there.
Mukabu said Equity BCDC customer base has crossed the 2 million mark and is poised to grow even further because the country is lowly banked.
The country is not yet fully digitalized, so that is an area where somebody could explore and see it as an opportunity.
Although the DRC is known for its mining potential, the ecosystems to the sector, including food supply, housing, transport, roads and energy, remain largely untapped.
On agro-industrial sector, this is an enormous opportunity. The land is very fertile. Last time we saw some maize growing in the bridge, and you could see across the bridge there was maize. Nobody has planted it, but it was growing. So the land is so fertile, and it gives an opportunity of starting growing food. And the country used to be in the past, before the period of instability, a food basket in many aspects.
Kenyan ambassador to DRC, George Masafu, said the Kenya fraternity was proud of Equity, which he said has become the face of Kenyan enterprises in the country.
We are so proud to host the cream of the Kenyan investors coming to DRC. And this could not have been possible without the leadership of James and his team. James, we are very proud of your leadership for organizing this kind of tour to DRC. Equity Bank is now flying the flag. It is the face of Kenyan enterprise in DRC. What does it mean now for you investors who have come to DRC? Visiting DRC means you are looking for opportunities to invest. And you cannot come to a country to invest if you have no confidence in that country. It's an expression of confidence in this country and why you want to invest here.
The visitors were surprised by the opportunities in various sectors and were keen to find a niche in the country that is arguably the most sought-after investment destination. A visit by several delegates to a construction site revealed the insatiable demand for housing in the city.
Parkland is located in Kinshasa, Democratic Republic of Congo. We see a great future for Parkland and other construction companies because there's so much potential. In Kinshasa, real estate development is on the up and up, and we believe there is a lot to come in that space.
Congo is still a very virgin country in terms of opportunities. We really appreciate Equity Bank for this opportunity because we've been able to see Congo in a very different way in terms of the opportunities that are in this country, especially in the area of mining. Rather the interest that I have, the reason I'm here, there is a lot of opportunities based even for the meeting that we had. We can be able to leap a lot of opportunities in terms of mining, agriculture, and the general construction.
The kind of imports that this country has, from food, everything that you see around even at the hotel looks imported and not locally manufactured. So a lot of opportunities for people who are willing to invest in local manufacturing.
There's a lot of potential in this country, though there may be a bit of challenges, maybe on the infrastructure and such things, but this is a country with a lot of potential. I'm also thankful to Equity Group for having managed to arrange this roadshow, which has been a big source of information to investors and also to government technical people to just compare how the places are, and we are thankful to have participated.
The 2023 Kenya and DRC Investors Roadshow started in Nairobi to run through Kinshasa to end in Lubumbashi to the south of the country. The Democratic Republic of Congo imports 80% of all food consumed in the vast country. It is no wonder, then, that agriculture and related industries present a growing opportunity for business. Deputy Governor of Katanga, Jean-Claude Kamfwa, told delegates on the Kenya and DRC Investors Roadshow that agriculture is now a priority area for investment in alignment with other sectors such as mining.
La province du Haut-Katanga, qui vous reçoit, s'étend sur une superficie de 132 425 km² et sa population à majorité jeune est en plein accroissement. Elle est baignée par plusieurs cours d'eau importants et par le lac Mouero. En plus de ses richesses minérales variées, elle regorge de terres arables très fertiles qui se prêtent à plusieurs types de cultures.
The Deputy Governor thanked Equity for leading enterprises to DRC by example of investing in DRC and organizing for others to follow suit.
Distingués invités, mesdames et messieurs, par l'objet de sa mission, la délégation voudrait visiter divers clients et marchés en vue d'établir des relations d'affaires, des relations commerciales qui certainement contribueront au renforcement des relations entre nos deux pays, à savoir la République démocratique du Congo et le Kenya.
Equity Group Holdings chairman Professor Isaac Masharia said the mission had brought to DRC an assortment of people, including entrepreneurs and economic analysts, to open their eyes to the opportunities available.
We, as Equity Bank, have identified the opportunities.
Mungu yetu
Afrika Mashariki, tuwezeshe kuishi kwa amani, tutimize na malengo yetu. Jumuiya yetu sote tuilinde, tuajibike, tuimarike, umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu.
Tunayo benki inayotufaa sisi wateja na wafanyikazi, tuko pamoja, lengo letu moja, kuyaboresha maisha ya watu.
Thank you so much. And I want at this moment to request Reverend Munguti to kindly come and open for us the word of prayer. Karibu sana.
Let's pray. Father, in Jesus' name, we are so grateful this morning for giving us a chance to come and put our minds together to see how, God, we can expand, we can enlarge, and how we can network so that we can dominate the earth, we can subdue the earth, and harvest the best that you have given unto us. Lord, silver and gold belong to you, and therefore cattle on 1,000 hills are yours as well. We pray in the name of Jesus. Father, these dear ones put their minds together, and as we interact, that God, the wisdom that you gave Solomon to make him the richest man in Middle East, the wisdom that you gave Bezalel, he became an architecture without going to any college. He became a manufacturer, God, in that industry. We are praying that this wisdom will come upon these investors, and they will go back energized. They will go back to their countries networked, and at the end of the day, they shall say, that meeting was fruitful. We pray that, God, it will be well with us and give us the best wisdom to make this meeting a great success. In Jesus' name, we pray and believe.
Thank you so much, Reverend. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning. And for the French speakers as well, bonjour, mesdames et messieurs. And ladies and gentlemen, once again, esteemed investors, valued partners, welcome to the Drc Investors Roadshow 2024, a pivotal event that is happening today, orchestrated by the Equity Group. And today we unlock vast business networks, paving the way for unparalleled trade and investment opportunities within and beyond the DRC. And so for most of the people who are here, they are ready and bags are packed, ready to go. And I can tell you I was just checking in and I hear the plane is ready to as well go. And so I want to wish safe travels to all of us as we embark on this journey. And this marks the beginning of a collaborative effort to explore and harness the immense potential within the region. May this venture lay the foundation for fruitful connections, fostering meaningful trade and unlocking unprecedented investment opportunities. Now, just before we get started officially as well by welcoming some of the remarks that we shall be having here, I want us to as well, because we are streaming this and most of the people as well are checking us out, I want you to please look at the person sitting next to you in a nice way. And I want to request, yesterday we had a good time yesterday. It was just an easy way of networking. But you know, every single day is a new day. So we want to just take some groupies, wherever we are, and selfies, especially if you are, go to a person from a different country. I can see Uganda is represented. I can see Switzerland is represented. Yeah, there you go. We have a lot of, look at them. So please do that. This is where I break the protocol and ask you, take the selfies now. Use your phone. There you go. Do it. I'm waiting for guys. Guys are looking at me like, oh yeah, you mean you're serious? Yes, I am. Please go ahead. Yes. The person with the best camera can use the one that you have. Go ahead. This table, you want me to come? I can come. I can come to you. Yes, just check it out. There you go. There you go. Thank you so much. It says something about the roadshow that you're about to take. Please do that. Do that. Very important. Very important. I think I'll be the one who does the groupie one from here. So I'd like you to really looking at the theme and what we're talking about on our theme here today, that unlocking business networks and fostering investment opportunities in and from DRC. I like this. This is a powerful one. This is a groupie here all the way. Please make sure you smile for it. There you go. Camera, you need to zoom here. This is very nice, man. I like that one. This is where we say we are bold enough, like the people who are taking up the markets. Thank you so much. So please share this on your LinkedIn, on your socials. Let people know that you are embarking on this. One of the things that I know about business is marketing is very important, isn't it? Let people know that you're taking your services all the way across the borders. It's okay. You never know who gets to know this, and it's very important. Thank you so much. My name is Maina Chege. I'll be your moderator for this short session. or you can call me MC. Those are the initials of my name. I want at this moment to request Sam Makome, the Group Chief Commercial Officer, to kindly come and give us the opening remarks. Then we can get rolling. So Sam, if you could kindly make it here. There you go. Karibu sana. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much, Maina, and good morning. Once again, good morning, our distinguished guests, esteemed clients, our partners, investors, ladies and gentlemen. We are once again delighted to welcome you to this launch event and to the 2024 DRC Trade Mission. We want to say in true East African style, Karibuni. Karibuni means welcome. So Karibuni and Asante, where Asante means thank you. So we will say Karibuni and Asante, bienvenue, and merci beaucoup. It's a great honor to host all of you here in Nairobi as we prepare to travel to the DRC just in a few hours' time. We have had a cocktail yesterday where quite a number of you attended, but we do know there are a few people, particularly some of the local delegates from Kenya, who did not attend. So some of the things we'll say, you may have heard them, but it's good to hear them again. We have delegates, although you are seeing not over 100 people here, we have various categories of delegates. Some of them are leaving using commercial flight. Some of them were traveling directly from Uganda to the DRC. Some delegates were traveling directly from Tanzania to the DRC. And some have already preceded us and are already in the DRC. So in total, we are about 110 people, but traveling, this is the biggest group, but we do have other groups traveling to the DRC. And it's really an honor to have people from 20 countries and counting traveling together in this exciting journey. Over the last few years, Equity has been facilitating these trade missions and investor roadshows to promote investment opportunities in Kenya, the DRC, and the larger East African community. For some of you who noticed the East African community, the last anthem we sang there before the Equity anthem was the East African anthem. The East African community is coming closer and closer. The trade flows are increasing significantly. Trade between Kenya, Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania is an all-time high. So there is a lot of flows across this region, which consistently seeing itself now as one region. These trips also align with our strategy, the Africa Recovery and Resilience Plan, and Brent, our Group Chief Strategy Officer, will be talking about that later on, and also with our vision to be the champion of the socio-economic prosperity of the people of Africa. These trips were the brainchild of our Group CEO, who is not able to be here today, but was with us yesterday. Yesterday, our Group CEO described this as experiential learning. Not something we want to theorize about, but something you have to experience for yourself. You must see and experience for yourself, and you must touch it yourself. Seeing and experiencing is very different. As we were engaging, and I engaged quite a number of clients about traveling and a number of people about traveling over the last 1 month, even people from the East African region asked me and were hesitant. They told me, hey, but there is a war or there is conflict in the DRC. Why do you want to go to the DRC at this time of conflict? One person told me, shouldn't you wait for this conflict to end before you plan this journey? So, and the conflict, and we can never downplay conflict, is real. And the role it plays in the disruption of human life is real. But the reason many sometimes think that there is conflict in DRC is because it's the only one story they hear about the DRC. There is some tension in the far eastern part of the DRC, but the DRC is much, much more than that one conflict. African icon and author Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie talks of the danger of a single story. A single story she defines as describing something as one thing and one thing alone. So that if the only news you hear is, hey, if you hear about the DRC, is about the conflict, then you'll think, hey, the DRC is just conflict. But it fails to recognize many, many, many other stories about the DRC. What are the other stories we need to know about the DRC, the investment climate, the growth, the potential, the things happening in the DRC? The DRC, some facts about the DRC, is the second largest country in Africa, 2.345 million square kilometers. For you to remember that trivia, you just need to know how to count. 2.345 million square kilometers. And it is the 11th largest country in the world. It actually borders 9 African countries. So in terms of African trade, it actually is at the heart of Africa, connecting to 9 other countries and a member of the East African community. It is remarkably endowed, natural resources, vast potential. It has every mineral you can talk about, all the transition minerals, cobalt, copper, zinc, manganese, diamonds, gold, tin, tantalum, lithium, and others. And the potential is vast. The DRC is slightly larger than the whole of Western Europe in terms of landmass. It is only smaller, slightly smaller. Who's the largest country in Africa? It is Algeria. It is just slightly smaller than Algeria, but you know that Algeria is largely desert. So technically, in terms of occupied land, the DRC is Africa's largest country. Arable land in the DRC, 80 million hectares, of which 4 million are under irrigation. Largely in the south, and I think in this trip we will have an opportunity to have a look at some of those large farms. It is one of the most fertile countries on earth. One WFP report states it has the potential to feed 2 billion people through sustainable investments. Equity Group's ARRP, which Brent will speak about later, talks about our Pillar 1A, which is agriculture. So we are looking for agricultural investments as a group. It is a high priority. But you can see the DRC has the potential, really huge potential. 2 billion means it can feed Africa 2 times over. The River Congo in the DRC, the deepest river in the world, has close to half of Africa's hydroelectric potential. Many of you have heard about the Inga Rapids, which have so much hydroelectric potential they could light up the whole of sub-Saharan Africa. A population of over 105 million, largely young, yes, it is true, and it has got challenges, but it also shows the potential of the market, even as it connects to the larger East African and sub-Saharan Africa. As a group, we are well positioned across this vast land. Our business is very well structured. We have a very, very unique franchise as Equity Group in the DRC, because the banks which form the Equity BCDC have had 2 unique franchises. We have the BCDC, which started in 1909, which is a strength and the bedrock of our corporate bank and large enterprises, the mining and all those. And then we have the ProCredit arm, which was a specialist and SME expert organization. So we bring to you expertise as an organization that talks to both the corporates and also the SME, as well as a unique retail franchise. Over 75 branches. And then we add in all, the DRC is a vast country, so the way we manage ourselves in the DRC is by recognizing the various regions in this DRC. We have the western region, which is where Kinshasa is nested, and that's where we will be going when we fly out of here. We have the southern region, which has got all this copper belt. We've got the central region where Mbujimai is, and then we have the eastern region where Goma is. So even our own business is organized accordingly to recognize the vast land and to have the various areas fully recognized with regional managing directors and regional directors managing the various components of the bank. The DRC is doing extremely well in trade. I talked about its bordering many countries. I talked about its vast wealth. But the trade linkages to East Africa, the world, and beyond are particularly important. This is a trade mission and an investment mission. So trade is big. The DRC still has a lot. It has a lot, but it's also bringing in a lot to be able to improve, to invest, and also to consume within the DRC. Last year, the DRC grew significantly in our trade franchise, rivaling Kenya, showing the amount of trade and trade flows that are going into the DRC. The Equity Group has got all the necessary trade products, the knowledge to facilitate the flows of trade between the DRC and other countries. I want to introduce our Group Director of Trade, Ken Shimeka. Please stand. Ken Shimeka will be traveling with us on all your trade queries. How do you get things there? How do you go to the port of Matadi? What are the trade routes? How do you import, export? And I also have Waturi. Waturi, please stand. She also does regional trade and integration. Do you want to make goods move from Uganda to DRC, from Tanzania, from Kenya, from the Middle East? Waturi will be at hand also to assist you. So we have those two trade people also traveling with us. Engage with them, spend time with them, and let's see how we can assist you. So mine are just welcome remarks. I just want to thank you very much for coming, and look forward to a very exciting time of learning, growing, experiential learning, and growing together. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sam, and thank you so much for that introductory remark on what to expect. And I believe we are taking notes. It's good to see some of the people we had yesterday. Hi, how are you? Very well. Now, one of the key things that is quite important this morning is for you to leave here being satisfied that all your questions have been answered. So this is a call to you that if you have any question you'd like to ask, I'll be having an open mic session where you can briefly ask some of the people represented here. As you've seen some of the people that have been introduced by Sam, we are more than ready to answer all the questions you may have even before we start the journey. So please feel free to engage on that. We're going to have a presentation on Kenya, DRC, and regional macroeconomic environment. And we're going to have this coming from Steve Okoth, partner at BDO. So please put your hands together for Steve Okoth as he comes to give this presentation. Steve, please. Karibu sana.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Nairobi. Welcome to East Africa for those who are joining for the first time, or those who are not active in investment or in business in the region. So the Eastern and Central African region is one of the most promising in Africa. I think if you look at the continent, the Eastern and Central African region is really now the most promising. In terms of growth of the economies in the region, and as well as the opportunities that are now coming up and are being taken up by different investment groups. And most interestingly, political stability. This region of Africa is now experiencing more balanced political situation. Sometimes in the 90s, there were more serious upheavals that really hindered business and investment. But if you look at it now, this has now subsided. So I'll be looking at the entire region generally, and with some specifics to the DRC itself. So this is me. But in terms of professionally, I'm a tax specialist with a focus on dispute resolution and structuring of transactions and investments. When you're buying businesses, selling businesses, leaving investments, structuring your investment such that it takes advantage of all the tax opportunities and incentives, this kind of things, or facilitating all the necessary paperwork and legal processes for structuring of groups so that investments are tax efficient and investments are operationally efficient. So this is what we do, what I've done. Due diligence when you want to take up a business, an investment. So we check if there are skeletons in the closet. We structure that particular deal so that it then suits the expectations. So this kind of things, I work with colleagues, it's not just tax. So I do the tax bit, but then there is a corporate or finance, there is a transaction advisory, or there is a financial team. So it's always a teamwork when you are going in to buy a business or when you are going in to set up a project. So this is what we do. And more specifically in Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania, we also play a big role in dispute resolution. So this is the lay of the land. Conceptually, this region is very well integrated as an economy. All these countries, about 10 countries in the region, 7 of them are already in the East African community, which is the trading bloc in the region and the common market. So all these countries are already in the East African community region. So if you are operating in any of those countries, your products can access that entire market without paying duty within that particular block. And that is for Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, or Burundi, Rwanda, DRC, South Sudan, and now Somalia has also joined the bloc. Ethiopia is a major economy in the region. It's the largest economy in the region, but it's not yet part of the EAC. I think discussions are underway for it to also join the community. So when Ethiopia will join the community, then this will be the biggest regional bloc in Africa. So if you look at it now, ECOWAS is still the largest regional bloc. So if you just want to look at the countries themselves, the conceptual East and Central Africa, you can see the economies, the totality of the GDPs of all these countries is about 500 and something billion dollars. This is the GDP of all these countries, with Ethiopia having the largest at around 150 something billion dollar economy. So this is really small if you compare with other parts of the world. If you compare with the Southeast Asia major economies in different parts of the developing world, it's a relatively smaller GDP. And this speaks to the potential of growth, especially if you are considering also that the population is half a billion of people live in this region, just this part of the world. And it has some of the hugest potential for mineral resources, for agricultural potential. It has the demographic dividends, the young, well-educated people across all the countries, not just in Kenya. There are many young, well-educated, English-speaking, French-speaking people, or well-skilled generally compared to other parts of the continent. So this really shows you what we really play with. So this will be the map of the integrated East African community after Somalia joins. So we expect this to be one of the biggest players in Africa. So what are the drivers for FDI? The people who are so far investing in this region, big time. What are they really coming to do? And which are the sectors that have been so far most attractive? So the drivers, the biggest driver so far, especially for the DRC and then Tanzania, is the mineral resources. People come in to do mining business and the mining value chain, part of the mining value chain, supplying equipment, supplying or services, or to facilitate or mining activities, or providing financing and funding. So mining is still the largest source of FDI to the region. Then infrastructure, especially if you look at Kenya, we've invested heavily in infrastructure over the last 20 years, and other countries as well, Tanzania and Uganda, are now investing heavily in infrastructure. So the roads, the railway lines, the airports, the energy infrastructure, all this is going to continue to. So those who are interested in participating in the infrastructure space, then DRC is the biggest opportunity because it's untapped, or it's a vast territory. There are no highways and superhighways like you find in other East African countries. So this is an opportunity for those who want to make a play at that. Of course, I understand that so far the mechanism for raising funds by the government to finance infrastructure is still not at that robust level like you can find in Kenya, where we raise infrastructure bonds and we trade them at the NSE, and it's very successful, very easy. DRC has a lot of dollars, a lot of US dollars in the country, but you find that people place that in the bank, and there are no other sources of placing the capital that they have. So people actually park US dollars in banks, and they don't get as much interest in return. In the near future, we expect, and this is already in the discussions, we expect there to be a bond system for raising infrastructure bonds so that they finance the setting up of infrastructure projects across the country. So railway lines, or train systems, water systems, all this energy infrastructure. So this will be quite good. And it is something that those who are ambitious and entrepreneurial, you need to start looking at this one, because it will be the biggest infrastructure opportunity in Africa. Then agriculture is also a major source of FDI and renewable energy, especially in the eastern DRC, or renewable energy in small towns. There are projects that are being set up there to generate and supply electricity to small towns into microgrids, mini grids. So this kind of opportunities is there. It's a dollar liquid society, so the issues of currency depreciation may not affect you as much. You can actually sell your services in US dollars and you easily repatriate. Real estate and construction, this is also one of the other areas. ICT, and then manufacturing. And for manufacturing, this one, largely investments are going to the special economic zones. So export processing zones, special economic zones, or special operating frameworks. These are the areas that are attracting the most investments in manufacturing. And if you operate outside those zones and you manufacture goods, you can access the entire market, which is indicated. Healthcare and hospitality are also some of the areas that have been attractive. So if you look at it, the trends over the past 20 years, these are the areas that have been attracting investments to this region. These are the largest areas. This is not to say that the other places are not making a play, or it's just that they are not. These are the biggest drivers of FDI if you look at it in terms of US dollar terms. These are the comparative advantages of this region: human capital, natural resources, market size and access, infrastructure. Infrastructure, especially in Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda, is really at a significantly good levels. Kenya has very good infrastructure standards. There are good highways, good railway lines. You can easily move your goods up and across the country. Tanzania is coming on, so there is mobility in the region. The infrastructure is now acceptable if you compare to other parts of Africa. So I've moved to other parts of Africa, and I know this region has acceptable levels of infrastructure. You can't, of course, compare this to infrastructure standards in Asia or in Europe. This is still far below those standards. Strategic positioning, peace, relative political stability. So these are advantages of for investing in the region. So now, let's touch a bit on DRC, because you are going there. And in DRC, you can access services. As you can see, you have strong financial institutions like Equity Bank, which also have entire regional presence. So if you are operating in these countries, you can have one bank that takes you around. So these are opportunities that are available to facilitate investment and to facilitate business going into the DRC. There are accounting firms like us who have already set up and are providing services and advice to people who are investing in that particular part of the world. There are law firms which are already well established. So you have services. When you are going there, you will find accountants, lawyers, bankers already with you. So the system, or rather the ecosystem to facilitate your investment or to guide you in more granular fashion and to take you through the processes and to help you navigate the challenges and to get all the approvals that you need, you already have this kind of well-respected, well-experienced professionals in the country to be able to take you through this. And they are organizations of international or regional presence and respect. So this is a facility which is available for you if you want to go into that region. DRC is still a small economy. It is having better political stability. In the past, it has had upheavals, serious governance issues in the 80s and 90s were experienced, or military coups and all that, but this has significantly dropped. If you look at the trends over the last 20 to 30 years, it has significantly improved. They have had democratic elections and a peaceful transition of power, and this seems to be progressing. They have joined the East African community. There are issues in the Eastern DRC, which is not a major political issue. It's basically some conflict with some armed gangs controlling specific villages or towns, or basically to take some minerals or something like that. But it's nothing to destabilize the system. So politically, it has stabilized over the years, and it is now part of the EAC. EAC is playing a big role in terms of supporting the country to stabilize politically. So this is the landscape for that. It is opening up for business. As a country, it's opening up for business, looking for investments or having discussions. They are always here and going around to attract investment, especially in the infrastructure space, education, sanitation, healthcare. So DRC is quite ambitious. There are cultural issues to consider, and for cultural factors, it's a question of you understanding the local culture. This is how culture always works in Africa. You have to go into a particular territory and you take time to analyze the culture of doing business, and then you tailor your strategies to that particular culture. So this is quite important. Some people have been frustrated in terms of cultural misunderstanding when you go to the DRC. So when you go there, you have to retain an open mind that it might not be like Switzerland or London in terms of business culture. but it works and business grows and people make profit every day. So it is workable. There are many mineral resource opportunities that you can take up in different sectors. Many people here are coming in to go to the mining sector. The population is huge, as I have indicated. Yeah. In terms of registering a company, you can register business in 4 months, and there is enough facilities to support you. There is good advice to support you, or in terms of registration. We have a package of support for that particular, if you are going into that country, and this pack will be available for you. Kenya still remains a major economy. You can also consider it alongside Uganda and Rwanda, the other countries generally. We prepared a pack for you which has all this, so that when you go, you can then take time to go through it. We indicated that this is intended to be an experiential journey for you, and I'll end it at that, so that you can also enjoy the rest of the presentations. Asante.
Let's appreciate him. Thank you so much for your time, Steve Okoth, for that presentation as well on the macroeconomic environment, and I'm sure we are able to grasp something or so. Please remember, I said, if you have any questions, I'm going to open the floor at some point for any questions you may have, to probably get a bit better picture or color to what has been presented here. We're going to finally get some remarks and a presentation by Brent, the Group Chief Strategy Officer, Equity Group Holdings, and then we shall wrap it up on presentations on that note. So please put your hands together for Brent, the Group Chief Strategy Officer, as he comes, as well to give this final presentation. Welcome.
So good day, everyone. And as the presentation goes up, maybe one thing I would want you to leave here with is maybe 4 statistics, a vision that Equity Group has, and a plan to realize that vision. The first statistic that I'll give is 3%. 3% is Africa's market share of world GDP. The next statistic is 8%, and 8% is Africa's share of food, net of any exports. The third statistic that I'll give you is 17%. This is Africa's market share of world population. And the final statistic is 25%, and that's Africa's population by 2050. I don't know if the presentation is going to go up. So if you go to the next slide, this is ultimately Africa's problem statement. And if you look at the glass half full, this is the opportunity statement that Equity Group is seeing for itself. What we are doing as Equity Group, and it's one of the reasons we do these trade missions, is that we want to close the 3% and the 17%. The 17% will be 25% by 2050. You'll also notice that on the bottom left gives you a sense of where the youth is. The darker red implies Africa will be the world's future labor market. By 2050, it will have 1/3 of the world's labor market. At the same time, because it's 25% of the world's population, by 2050, it will be the final frontier for any FMCG company looking for a mass market as well. This picture shows you, if you look at the IMF forecasts for the next 5 years, 2024 to 2028, this map shows you those markets with an average GDP above 5%. You will notice that East Africa, East and Central Africa, has the highest concentration of high growth markets in the world. So these are averages using the IMF forecasts between 2024 and 2028. Equity Group operates in all of those markets in East and Central Africa, with the exception of Mozambique, Burundi. We have a rep office in Ethiopia. What you'll also note is that East Africa has, or East and Central Africa has at least 5 of the 10 fastest growing markets in the world. Now, there is a couple of things taking place globally that position Africa, and particularly East and Central Africa, very well. So, the pandemic has highlighted how concentrated manufacturing is. During the pandemic, it was very clear where pharmaceuticals were produced, where PPEs were produced. This slide just further reiterates the high levels of concentration in manufacturing. This is important because in our markets, particularly in a country like DRC, there is a level of productive capacity to be an alternative to current manufacturing hubs. You may not be aware, but Kenya already has 5 of the global car manufacturers assembling vehicles in Kenya. And maybe just to stick to this slide, the geopolitics has also made businesses rethink their supply chains as well. Whether it's China plus one, friend-shoring, near-shoring. Africa has, for instance, agreements with America. It's called the AGOA, which is going to be renewed next year. So there are preferential trade agreements that make a country like Kenya attractive, especially, for instance, in the textile manufacturing space, where there is a lot of companies based in Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, looking to, and even Ethiopia, looking to relocate their manufacturing capacity in the special economic zones, the exporting, processing zones around Nairobi and Mombasa. This slide shows you how concentrated food production is. The Ukraine-Russia war has put the spotlight on food security globally. Without fail, more than 50% of staple foods, edible oils, is produced by 5 countries. It was mentioned earlier in the earlier presentation, a country like the DRC with 80 million hectares of arable land, only 10% of that is utilized, and of that 10%, the yields that DRC produces ranges between 30 and 50% below the world average yields, whether it's for maize, whether it's for soy, etc. So what I'm trying to paint here is a picture that there is a real opportunity that Africa provides. It has solutions to what the world is looking for in markets like Kenya, DRC, Tanzania, Uganda, where there's significant agricultural potential, where a country like the DRC and increasingly Tanzania has, it's being found that they have significant reserves of critical minerals for the energy transition. East and Central Africa becomes a key source market for critical supply chains, particularly when it comes to agriculture for food security and the minerals for the energy transition. So maybe a little bit about what Equity Group is doing to leverage off and to realize some of these opportunities. As Equity Group, you may think of us as just another typical bank focusing on SMEs. We have just over 19 million customers now, but what are we doing going forward is something a bit more holistic in how we approach these opportunities. Historically, we focused from a financial inclusion perspective, but with this strategy of ours, which is largely a developmental plan, we're looking at the ecosystem and connecting these ecosystems. So you will see from this plan our pillar 3, which is trade and investment. This trade mission that we are doing gives you a sense of the size of activities and the extent of the activities that we are doing to drive this social and economic transformation plan of ours. As it was mentioned earlier, we started these trade missions about 3 years ago. You'll be going on the plane that we've chartered, where we're taking you to Kinshasa, Lubumbashi, back to Nairobi. The plan is basically looking at taking the natural endowments of Africa, which is our pillar 1, where we're taking our agricultural customers, our mining customers, and we're working with them to improve essentially the output and productivity. To give you a bit of color, so for instance, we are working with John Deere, Case New Holland. We're looking to work with Mahindra, Kubota from Japan, to essentially mechanize smallholder farmers. We're working with input companies like Syngenta, Yara, ETG, to make our input financing programs more fit for purpose to target smallholder farmers. And smallholder farmers are important because they are more often than not 60% of agricultural output in most of our countries in Africa. In the DRC, we are working with partners to formalize artisanal mining. You saw statistics earlier that DRC has 70% of the world's cobalt reserves, and consequently 70% of the world's cobalt output. Depending on who you speak to, 15 to 30% of that output is from artisanal miners. So we're working with partners to essentially formalize these artisanal miners and ultimately connect them to global supply chains, where at the moment, whether you're a Tesla, whether you're a Samsung and Apple, you are concerned in introducing cobalt from the DRC because of the social risks. So we're working with partners to essentially formalize and ultimately de-risk these supply chains and connect them to global markets. Our pillar 2 is around value addition. It's around industrialization. For real transformation to take place, there is a level of value addition that needs to take place in our markets. So we're working with a number of our clients to value add their agricultural output. We are connecting smallholder farmers to agro processors in our markets. We are working with, for instance, with the DRC government and the Zambian government to set up an industrial park on the border to essentially beneficiate their minerals. And there's a number of other initiatives where we're taking our clients that are miners, that are interested in value adding and setting up battery factories in the region. Our pillar 3 is around trade and investment. It's really about, and for our investors that have joined us on this trip, who are also our shareholders, you'll get a sense of the economic opportunities that we are catalyzing, that we are going to cross-sell our capabilities as Equity Group. What we're doing with the agricultural activities, what we're doing with the mining activities, what we're doing with manufacturers, speaks to what we're doing with our lending business, with our asset finance business, with our insurance business, these are businesses that are, as they grow capacity, there is equipment that they need to insure. So you'll get a sense of how our economic engine of our business plays a role. In the trade and investment, Here we essentially, I made comments around what we're doing with John Deere, Case New Holland, etc. This is about bringing the factors of production, whether it's technology, skills, even the capital, into the continent. So a lot of what we want to do with mechanization in terms of bringing in manufacturing capacity requires capital, requires equipment, technology, requires a level of skill set that are not necessarily present in our markets at the moment. What we've also done, for instance, in our Pillar 3 is we've signed agreements with the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat, the East Africa Community Secretariat, to essentially be their private sector stroke implementing partner. So when you have these large convening bodies like the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat, the East African Community Secretariat, even SADC, these are institutions that convene and bring policymakers together. What we do as Equity Group with these partners is to essentially realize and drive trade that they've put in place, and speaks to the trade missions that we are doing, and speaks to why we have Ugandan businesses part of the trip, why we have Tanzanian businesses as part of the trip. We operate in these markets as Equity Group, but we also want our clients in Uganda, Tanzania, to do cross-border business and leverage off our trade finance capabilities to do business in the DRC. Our Pillar 4 is around what we're doing with our core business at the end of the day. This is our core segment of micro, small, medium-sized businesses. Maybe just to piece a bit of this together. So in our Pillar 1, we are taking smallholder farmers as outgrower schemes and connecting them to, for instance, one of our clients, East African Breweries, which is part of the Diageo group. We make sure there's offtake agreements. We bring in our social engine, which is our foundation, where we do a lot of entrepreneurship training, financial literacy. We have agronomists. So we bring a lot of capacity building to smallholder farmers, similarly what we're doing with artisanal miners. We're capacitating them. We will give them financing to them, and we will connect them to markets, to off-takers, in this instance, East African breweries. For us, when we lend, that helps reduce the credit risk. When we put the off-take agreements in place, when we put our training, including on the agronomical training, we reduce production risk, and therefore the cash cycle in this agri-value chain takes place. In our Pillar 5, so you'll get a sense, so our first 4 pillars, we are essentially capacitating, connecting, financing, value chain. So when we talk about ecosystem banking, especially for our investors, this gives you a sense of what we mean by ecosystem banking. The first 4 pillars is essentially executed by our economic engine. This is our banking business, our insurance business, our technology business. We also have a social engine, which is basically our foundation, where we do the training, we have health clinics, we do social transfers for government, the UN agencies. If you think about our customer base, if you think of the continuum of customers where you have a multinational, like East African Breweries, and you have maybe the most marginalized segments, call them smallholder farmers, the unbanked, even refugees. We bank refugees as well. What we are doing is, with our economic engine, our bank, insurance, technology business, a lot of it looks to support segments, for most part, on this side of the spectrum. Our social engine does a lot of capacity building and transitioning of customers on this side of the spectrum. So we want to transition smallholder farmers, subsistence farmers, to agri businesses, so that they produce more than just for the household. So when you piece this together, this is what we call the Africa Recovery and Resilience Plan. This is what we call our twin engine business model of the economic engine and the social engine. And then the last pillar, our pillar 6, is about leveraging off technology to do the other 5 pillars at scale and with rapid impact. So maybe just to contextualize our markets as well, and it may give you a sense as a business if you're looking to go into the DRC or East Africa. Given the level of penetration, and this is not just financial penetration, banking penetration, whether you're looking at FMCG penetration, cement penetration, there's a high correlation with financial penetration, as you can see on the x-axis, private sector credit to GDP, and on the left, on the y-axis, you'll see the GDP per capita. There's a high correlation as financial inclusion increases, wealth increases in a country. If financial penetration is low, you can be assured that cement penetration, FMCG penetration is low as well. The way we're thinking of our business, and it will have some relevance to you in your different sectors, is that a market like Kenya it's penetrated already. Access, whether you're a bank, access has already been given. If you're an FMCG company, there is a lot of distribution, formal retailing that is already taking place in a market like Kenya. But in DRC, it's still about a customer penetration story. So for instance, in the DRC, private sector credit to GDP is around 6-7%. In Kenya, it's around 30%. In more developed markets like South Africa, it's close to 100%. So for Kenya, for us, and that's why you're seeing us launching insurance, that's why we are launching a number of products across our banking business, and you'll see a couple of other launches in our technology business. It's about putting in place product. We have very strong distribution capabilities. In a market like DRC, for us, and Sam, our Chief Commercial Officer, spoke about it, it's about penetration, but DRC is a bit of a unique market because in southern DRC, where a lot of the mining takes place, and also parts of Kinshasa, there's a level of penetration where it's also about pushing product, but for most part, it's about penetrating the market. So if you're a steel manufacturer, and hopefully I think you may be meeting one of the steel manufacturers as one of the site visits in Lubumbashi, you'll see that there's also already a level of manufacturing taking place, but you'll also get a sense when you land in Kinshasa, and we'll take you, when we go on the highway, you'll see the informal markets left and right of you. For those that are from Kenya, you'll be familiar with Gikomba Market, which is a big open second-hand goods market, and Jokali with the very small artisanal shops. You'll see a Gikomba 10 times bigger as you drive through to the hotel. So this is just to give you a bit of color on the DRC. We'll circulate the presentation. We have a lot more detail as Equity Group, but this just gives you a sense of the population spread. It gives you a sense of the land area. So you see the largest county in DRC, I think it's called Chishopo or something like that. It's 200,000 square kilometers. This is, and you'll bear in mind, Kenya is 500,000. You'll see where government activity is, and you'll see the level of banking penetration across the DRC. And then on the right, you can just get a sense of the high impact provinces. And this is also how we've thought about our business as well, in terms of concentration of our resources and where we'll put a lot of our activity as well. But you'll get more color on the DRC when you speak with the businesses on the ground, the government officials, the World Bank, IMF, that we've set up meetings over the course of this week. I'll end with this slide. This just tries to piece together, it's a very all over the place slide, but it's intentional to show you that we are piecing what is a very fragmented value chain across our markets. And we essentially leveraging off our social engine, our economic engine, i.e. our banking business, our insurance business, our technology business, as well as our foundation, to work together to essentially capacitate, connect, finance what are essentially fragmented value chains in Africa. So with that, I think we can end. We can take some questions, but thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Let's appreciate Brent one more time with a round of applause. Great. Well, as promised, again, just before we come to a close of this, I had alerted you that feel free. This is an open forum for you to live here with clear, crystal clarification on what you're going to. And I believe the presentations have been of help. So I want to request the tech team to kindly assist me with a cordless mic because of any question that may come by. But if you're there, just lift up your hand if it's to a specific person. All the speakers are still within, so please shoot your question, then we can float it up. Who wants to start? Just checking whether, yeah, I can see already one there. So I think what we can do is agree on the timing of the question. Just make it very short, straight to the point, max 60 seconds if it has to be a sentence loaded one. Go ahead.
Hi, Max from BI. Quick question. I mean, the great presentations, and I think the potential of the DRC is unquestionable yet, I think.
Yeah.
That's why we're all here. What is the major catalyst kind of like the DRC over the next years can fulfill this potential?
The major catalyst.
Yeah. Is it political stability? Is it, I mean, investment, foreign direct investment? Is it engagement of equity bank, like to bank the country? So what do the presenters think is the one thing which really makes a change over the next years?
Okay, thanks for that question. I believe our presenters have taken note of that. Great. Next question. Anybody else wants to ask another question? I'm just checking around this side. Just trying to see. Excellent. I can't see a hand. Any other question on this other end? Great. I think we'll answer that. Brent, because you're the one who's giving a greater perspective, I think you could answer that question on the major catalyst at DRC. I think it's curious to know. Go ahead.
So I think a key one is the recent elections. The elections in December, where essentially the elections took place on the date it was scheduled. The outcome was accepted. And this followed the previous elections where the elections took place. Yes, it was delayed for well over a year, but the elections have taken place. This is the second set of elections where this democratic transition has taken place. The catalysts are playing out. One of them being the political environment. There is no doubt there is still some concerns in what is happening in the East. There is real concerted effort amongst the EAC governments working with the DRC, and we've seen South Africa being quite involved as well, to resolve the challenges in Eastern DRC. Also, the level of infrastructure that is taking place, this is largely funded by the mining companies for the time being. And in fact, there is continued interest on infrastructure to, I suppose, extract the minerals. You'll be familiar with the Lobito corridor that is playing out. This is infrastructure that, yes, the intended focus is to extract the minerals, but it has other ripple effects as well in terms of providing infrastructure to bring in goods when it's empty. When you set up infrastructure, even if it's for mining, and if you set up a road or rail like you will see in Lubumbashi, you'll notice the amount of economic activity that happens along those corridors, if I can call it. Even in Nairobi, when a new bypass is opened up, you'll see real estate prices pick up, economic activity take place. What you'll also notice from the site visits that you'll do in Lubumbashi is that there is a big mining ecosystem that is established, whether it's someone that is recycling batteries from all the trucks that are there. You'll have a lot of distributors of equipment. You have a big agricultural ecosystem taking place to feed. What's also happened is Zambia, which subsidized a lot of its agriculture. A lot of it has found its way into southern DRC. Those subsidies are probably not sustainable, and the commercial farmers, because also there's a bit of a drought taking place in Zambia, there's less exports from Zambia into DRC, and therefore you'll see a couple of the farms that we will take you to where they are now expanding capacity both on the farms but also on the processing of maize meal as well. So there's a lot of little catalysts. The big one is obviously around the elections, but there's a lot of catalysts, a bit of it in southern DRC, for instance, around the mining ecosystem, the investments that are taking place. So Ivanhoe, which is the largest copper producer in Africa and has the largest copper mine in Africa, and from our discussions with them, DRC is now the second largest with Peru in terms of their output. There's a lot of investment going in the mining sector and consequently in infrastructure. Our discussions with the DRC government is that there is a priority around energy, power generation. So we're working closely with the mining sector, with the DRC government. We do have Siemens on the strip. I don't know if the Siemens gentleman if Alain is here. But he'll be on the plane, I believe. So we have them coming along with us to see how we can bring the different stakeholders together to develop the power grid in the DRC. As Equity Group, we also have quite a significant, you'll also see when you go to Kinshasa, you'll see not necessarily catalysts, but you'll see businesses reacting on catalysts that have already played out. You'll see when one of the site visits we have tomorrow is to the financial center in Kinshasa. So you'll see real estate picking up. As Equity Group, we have a significant property portfolio as well in the DRC. And we have JLL joining us. I don't know if he's in the room. There we go. So I'll need to chat to you. So we have JLL joining us on this trip as well to see the opportunity on the real estate. DRC, where DRC is today, is where Kenya was 25, 30 years ago. So if you're a business that went through the same 25, 30 years ago, just visualize that is Kinshasa. That is Lubumbashi. If you think of the DRC, in southern DRC, the copper belt area, that is essentially where large formalized mining takes place. In the center, in Buji-Mayi, there's significant agriculture. In fact, there's agricultural potential over the DRC, but in Buji-Mayi, in the center, that's where diamonds are. Just north of Katanga is where let's just skip my mind now, the lithium finders. So DRC has 70% of the world's reserves of cobalt. There is a recent finding, it's yet to be assessed as a proven reserve, but if it's proven, and this is in the Monolo area, DRC could potentially have around 20% of the world's lithium reserves, if proven. Also, what is interesting with the DRC in terms of its copper, it has one of the highest grades when you compare to Chile and Peru, averaging around 3-4%, where in your large producers like Chile, their copper reserve content is around 1.5-2% per ton. So the critical catalyst has played out. There's businesses already taking advantage of these catalysts, and we wanted to show you over the course of this week what businesses, which sectors are taking advantage of this.
Thank you so much, Brent, and I appreciate it. Let's appreciate him once more for that. I think he